Alright, rockers, Turbo back with you here inside the Asylum, and I've been playing for you guys some new music from Kobra and the Lotus for the past couple of months. The new album Prevail I comes out on May 12th, and right now I am joined by Skype by their front woman, Kobra Paige. Kobra, how are ya?
Hey Turbo, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for taking the time out to do this. I know you are getting busy. You guys are getting ready to head out on the road to get the word out a little early about Prevail I.
Absolutely. Yeah, next week we're flying on Monday.
Wow, very cool. Going out early, getting a week jump on the album, and that's always good nowadays. And before we talk about Prevail I want to go back a little bit because one of the things about the story of Kobra and the Lotus that I found interesting as a lifelong Kiss fan, and as someone who saw Kobra and the Lotus open for Def Leppard and Kiss a few years ago, is that Gene Simmons of Kiss kind of helped to get you guys up to that next level that you were looking for.
Yes. Yeah, it's an interesting concept, the whole involvement with Gene. It was a very wonderful experience, and he has a lot of knowledge, but it actually did not move us forward the way people thought, it would have. We have still been slugging it out, organically building our fan base for the last several years, even since that signing. I mean, this is almost 9 years now that the band has been going and really working hard out in the scene. Yeah, it's interesting. We absolutely had a blast on that tour, but in terms of comparing it to all the tours we've done with anyone else, it really resulted in the same amount of exposure just because of the nature of I think the shows that were happening. People were really scattered in those amphitheaters, and it was hard to grab and pull their attention in.
Yeah, I know those. I remember that show, and I'm one of those people that go in early to always see the opening band. And I remember you are right, it is true. At those shows, people tend to hang out at the merch area, the food area, or in the parking lot. And for me, watching your performance, it was hard to get a feel for what you guys could do because it didn't sound like your audio was as well set up as the other bands. And maybe that also kind of hurt in regards to people paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we were just, the young and small, brand new band to people that's opening the stage, and we couldn't have a banner or anything, so we just had to do our best with the position we were in, and oh, it was wonderful. It was a great experience, and those bands were really kind to us, so we also took away a lot of great tips and stories from them that really encouraged us to keep going and doing what we were doing.
Well, I'm glad that you did continue because, I remember being intrigued enough to look you guys up, and unfortunately I didn't really follow up much after that show because I didn't hear much after that show about you guys, and I kind of had that feeling that you like trailed off and maybe weren't around. But then when I read about Prevail I, and you guys have been working so hard, I can't help but ask what drives you and the band. Here you guys are, as you said, 10 years going, and there are many bands that get to this point and just say enough is enough already. What's the drive for you guys?
The biggest thing that keeps us driving forward is without a doubt passion and just pure love for what we do. I mean, it's a total labor of love at the end of the day, and it's a giant piece of ourselves that we can't take away from ourselves. It's like taking your breath away if you cut the art out of your life and you're an artist. So it's passion and shared experiences with all the people enjoying it.
Well, it's always good to hear because, even that passion can sometimes burn out. I mean, I recently spoke with Liv Singh, formerly of Sister Sing, and they were coming off of a great Mayhem festival, and two of the band members had lost that passion, and the band ended up ending, and now she's starting over on a solo career, and I guess you and your bandmates are lucky that the passion is still there this many years in.
Thank you. Yeah, it is hard, to keep the faith sometimes enough to move forward, but we're doing it, and we're definitely making a statement about it with this new album and its title.
So you guys, have been kind of away touring for the last 3 years, and you haven't been, sleeping, as some might assume, when you see a 3-year lapse between albums. Were you already working on the new album while out on the road, or was this something that when you guys came off all that touring, you realized that you needed a new album?
This was not done on the road at all, actually. It was something that I had really intended to be a super organic process. So we got together for about 2 weeks in total, just laying down some ideas here and also in Florida. And then we went to the studio and we wrote predominantly like 80% of both albums organically all together for a month in the studio. And that was a very different and unconventional way to do it.
Now, did you plan going into doing this album that it was going to be a double, or was that something that just kind of happened organically as you guys began working?
This was a very intentional decision. So when we had gone into the studio in Chicago to do the classic rock EP, we were playing all these 70s rock songs that we grew up with and knew and loved. And I thought to myself, there's some kind of magical element here that happens when everyone is together and they are creating that way. So I thought when the next album comes around, let's oh sorry, I'm talking about something different. Why it's a double album. Yeah, my dad suggested that, actually. That's how that happened.
Really?
The organic happened because of the classic rock EP. I thought we should do it like they did in the 70s, kind of. and cultivate some magic in our own way, and like that style in the way we could do it our best. And the double album was just a throwaway comment from my dad one day. He said, Bruce Dickinson was talking on a podcast I just heard about your generation not doing this very often. So I thought about it for a week, and then I couldn't let go of the idea. I just decided we were going to do a double record, and so we went into the studio set to write enough for 2 albums.
Wow, I mean, that is really kind of a true thing. Yeah, I think of the newer bands, the only band I could think of within the last couple of years that took the risk on a double album is Five Finger Death Punch. It is kind of a thing of the old generation. Iron Maiden, of course, doing that with Book of Souls, Judas Priest doing it with Nostradamus. Do you think it's more of a intimidation factor to do a double length album nowadays, considering the industry isn't as strong in record sales as it once was?
Yeah, I do think there's a large intimidation factor. If I think about my own experience around the thought process behind the double record, it really scared me at first. And initially I thought it was crazy and a terrible idea because I was very nervous about sacrificing quality for quantity. And it's really important to me that we can stand beside every song that we put on each album and feel really good about it and proud. So that was the biggest fear factor at first, and I do think it is gambling to a degree, but we felt like we did it. So I think the most exciting thing was to not let the fear overrule the ambition and passion for something that you really want to do and try, and we did. So I'm proud of all of us for getting involved in that.
Well, I gotta say, I love the idea that you took the risk, and really what I also am curious about is, when was it decided that it would be released as a part 1, part 2 at different types of the year instead of a double being released all in one piece at one time?
That was actually something that came after we signed to Napalm Records, and they made the suggestion to separate the album into 2 launches, essentially so we wouldn't lose good things in the shuffle of so much material being released for people to listen to all at once. And now when I really think about it and look back, I think it was a very smart decision, because it would have been quite overwhelming, and probably a lot would have been overlooked or less appreciated had we done that.
So I'm quite sure that there's a part of you that is a little bit anxious. Yeah, you've already gotten some feedback on Prevail I, but I'm sure there's a part of you that's going, there's more, and that you really are anxious to kind of get that out there and hear the reaction to that.
Yes, it's so nice to finally know the release for the first one is coming, actually, just so we can finally play the new stuff. It's very exciting to always have new stuff to play, because if you think about from the time a song is written to a time it's released, it's already usually almost a year. And in this case, Prevail II, it's going to be almost 2 years. And so we're really waiting a long time. That'll be 4 years since the making of High Priestess by the end of it. And that means we've been playing the same music. So as the artist, it's really exciting to be able to get out there with our new stuff and just have like a new vibrancy also in our energy on stage, because we have excitement as well.
And that is a point that I think a lot of fans forget. I think everyone just assumes that, oh, they went into the studio, 3 months ago, and the song isn't really that old. A lot of fans forget that it is now a year or a year and a half long process, and really should kind of appreciate it that much more. And I mean, you guys must be beyond thrilled when you are finally able to go up on stage and break out a song that you've been sitting on for so long.
Absolutely. Yep, it's absolutely true. And it's really hard to push a launch to happen so quickly with the proper rollout, in such a short span of time. And when you work so hard on something, you don't really want to rush it either. So we've just been making sure everything is exactly the quality we want. If we have to wait a little longer for Ted Jensen to master our stuff, that's okay, because we just want the product to be exactly how we envisioned it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't really rush anything, because if it doesn't feel right to you, or it doesn't feel right to the producer, then there's a chance it won't hit the right way to the fans. And you want to make sure you put out the best possible that makes everybody happy.
Yeah, and you can't take it back. Once it's out, and that is part of the history of the band.
It's very true. It's a rare field where you can't go, well, like with movies, you could always do a director's cut to try to save a failed movie, and there is no option for that in the music industry. Once it's out there, it's out there.
Yep, you got it.
So the new album, I've had Prevail I, luckily enough, for about a week or so. I've had some time to live with it, to listen to it, and it is a very powerful album, and there are several tracks that almost come off in a way as inspirational, or kind of songs to get you going and bring you up. Victim is a great song. You don't know, one of the singles, is just another one of those. Where did the writing come from? Was that something you were going through that you put into the lyrics, or was there a message you were looking to get out? Where did it all come from?
The lyrics were very personal and extremely vulnerable this time around, and it really also was intended to make music that would be more relatable and really connect to people on a deep level for whatever they're going through in their lives. So I think just by bearing my soul a little bit more and expressing my feelings, it opens it up a little more for people to say, oh yeah, like that is exactly, I've felt like that before, but it's hard to be vulnerable that way. So I didn't do it in the past, and I'm really glad I did, because I really think that this music that we've made will hopefully bring some people some strength and a feeling of being less alone in the world, because it's really a feeling of loneliness within situations, and whatever that is, regarding grieving, lack of humanity, or even manifesting your dreams, the positive things. It's all something that has to do with everyone that I know. So the intention was to really make albums that were globally relatable, in the best way possible. It's hard to do because everyone's going through different stuff. But what I do know is we do feel similar things more than a lot of people realize quite often.
And I think, again, that's one of those things that gets lost in translation. You brought up a little bit earlier the classic album that you did back, tributing the bands of the 60s and 70s, and that was an era where a lot of what was written and what was played and recorded was written on feelings and things going on in the world, and it identified with so many people. And then the 80s and 90s, while a lot of the writing was still about what people were feeling, it was hidden in lyrics that you had to really sit and read and try to disseminate what they meant. Do you think there aren't enough bands today really saying or writing how they feel and trying to hide things and be overly poetic?
Oh, it's I think it's a question that I don't even want to try to answer, just because art is so subjective, and ultimately it has to feel good for the artist and what they choose to do and the way that they choose to express it. And it's going to connect to people in different ways, So I really don't think that people are doing it less or more. They're just doing it in their own ways, and who am I to say if it's the right way, or if they're doing it less or more, because I don't know what they're thinking when they're making that stuff. All I can do is just know that I'm putting my truth into my songs.
Well, it does come out very much on Prevail I, and I love too, you also brought up that you guys, in recording the album, you did it the old school way. You went into the studio together as a band and actually did it. And more of the bands I'm talking to in the last year are going back to that. What do you think is maybe inspiring that old way of playing together on the recording, as opposed to the modern day way that many were doing over the years of, I'll do it, I'll email it to you, then you add and you email me?
It was really, really inspiring in a way that I haven't experienced yet. And it was because we were actually there in real time, being able to process and also learn from each other. And no one was blocking anything. We all were really trying to be open-minded and welcome everyone's creative assets to the table, to just see where the strong pieces lied within everyone staying in the room. And of course the songs are written by different mixes of different people, and it's not completely the same throughout both albums, but we were all still there. And really it came down to what was going to make this song the most impactful and the strongest. regardless of who offered up the change or the ideas to make it that way. So the ego was really pushed out of the picture. And it was also just inspiring, I know, for myself personally, to be with so many creatively gifted people and just see how their brains operated and things that they brought forward. It was really amazing and beautiful, and nothing could have happened the way it did. The evolution, the improvement, the sounds, the new songs, nothing could have happened without the massive collaborative efforts going on in that studio.
And I'm sure it also helped to add to the overall feeling of the album. And if you're tuning in late, we're talking with Kobra Paige of Kobra and the Lotus. The new album, Prevail I, comes out on May 12th. The one thing I got right out of the gates from the album is the power behind it. And I think that too, the overwhelming power that comes through the speakers and the headphones, it's not a power in a burst of the mix. It's a power of you all together, working on it together, putting your own individual touches into it to give it that extra power that you feel when you listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely. It has so many elements that have come from really the best parts of a few people and their creative mind, and it just I think it takes it to another level for us, and a big part of that was because of the inspiration rolling off of each other. It's like when you start to create something that you are inspired by, then you're inspired to push yourself even further, and there was a lot of that happening. I mean, when Jacob had suggested we drop the tuning in a lot of the music, that really scared me because I was out of my comfort zone for the range of my voice that I was used to using for so many years. I have a lot more range, but I haven't been using it. I haven't been writing with it. But he just encouraged me to go for it, and really great things resulted from it because I actually was encouraged to explore it more. And from there, more dynamics were born, and then I really even saw another way to paint the picture of the mood along with the music that was playing, so it's not just a word that you're saying, it's like how the word is being sung and sang, and what note is backing it, what's the whole mood. It's the most thoughtful music we've put out there.
And it also, I guess, speaks to the trust and the connection that you have in each other, to be able to, make suggestions that might be, leery, like you just brought up about the change in the chords to go down a little bit on them and go to a range you hadn't gone to. That's something that most lead singers would say, well, that's not what I do. That's not what I'm known for, and I'm not doing it. And here you are, you took the risk, it rewarded in the music, and that speaks volumes to how confident you are in one another and trust in one another when working on music.
Absolutely. It's a big attestment to trusting yourself and trusting all the people that you're working with, and also saying, I believe in you. Essentially, all of us were saying that to each other just by going through the process and jumping in, feet first. No one was halfway there. It was all in, and that's difficult, as you said. Like, it can be really difficult. It's hard to not let the fear stop you. It's also hard to believe in yourself, and it's just in general scary to open the box and step out of it. But we really, really, really came there looking to expand. So that's also why I chose Jacob. I just had a feeling that he was going to be the right person to help us, step outside our box and pull even more out of ourselves than we had in the past.
Well, I can definitely tell you, it all comes through on the album. I kind of almost feel ashamed, not just as a DJ, but as a music listener, to have dropped the ball after seeing you guys with Kiss and Def Leppard, and missing the evolution and growth of you guys as a band. I am going to go back and correct that and familiarize myself with more of the music that you guys have made over the years. And Prevail I, I know it's going to open the door. I can feel should open doors for you guys. And I know you're busy, and I just got to ask one more question about the album that caught me a little by surprise when listening to it. The track Check the Ferg, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly, is an all instrumental track, and that's not something we normally get from a band like Kobra and the Lotus. You get it from bands like Dream Theater, where you kind of they're known for that, and it's almost like a concert, in that you get that moment of a solo where the band gets to stand out on their own for a little bit without you. Was that something you planned as a band during the album? How did that instrumental track come to be?
This was actually a request that I had. I am a huge fan of some solo work by guitarists out there, and I'm a big fan of the instrumental tracks that Metallica has also put out in the past, like Orion. I really love Jado Unit, Zero Order Phase by Jeff Loomis. I've just been a really big fan of some instrumental stuff, and that classic stuff that's just guitar and it's showcasing different parts of what the guitarist can do, but it's also melodic. So that was really what I asked Yasho and Jake to do. I said, I really think we should have an instrumental track on this album and show a little bit of what you guys can do, because it's such a multi-dimensional band with the musicians that are in it. And I thought it would be really fun. So I said, write your Orion. And that's what they did.
What, were they surprised that you asked that of them, or was it something maybe you joked about previously? How did they react to that?
They just were like, okay, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then they just did it. I think Yasho by this point is really used to me getting crazy ideas all the time, and bless his heart, he's always on board. And thank God, because we create some of my favorite stuff together, and he was all for it. He just said yep, and they just went ahead and did it. So once the goal was set, there was no taking it off the songboard.
Well, I did it. It threw me for a curve. I'm sitting there going, where are the vocals? Where are the vocals? And before I know it, we're on to another song. And I sat there going, I wasn't expecting that, and it really, it's good. It's a great track. It does highlight what the band can do, and I dig it. It kind of gives it that concert feel where, at a concert, sometimes the singer will step out for a break and the band will do their thing and jam. It definitely gives the album a really overall good feeling. And again, I think Prevail I will do very well for you guys. Is there anything you could say of what fans should be ready for with Prevail II, even though that's still some time away?
You're talking about like the second album when it gets released, right?
What kind of sound wise? Is it gonna be like a night and day? Are they similar in sound? What should people kind of wait with bated breath for in regards to part 2?
This is super cool actually because both albums are very well balanced. We have a really equal mix of all the evolution that we've put into the music, as well as incorporating all the classic, heavy metal that people have known to love us for, and as well the heavy rock element. And there's no song that sounds like one of the other songs. There is a consistency, though, however, in that mix of that heaviness and metal and rock. So it's going to be great because it will be completely fresh music for people, but they can expect the same amount of stuff. There is not another instrumental though. There will be other stuff that changes, but it's very exciting. I can't wait until all the material is out there. A couple years down the road to see what people's favorites are in the end.
Well, it definitely will keep people wanting more. Prevail I comes out May 12th. Go out there, pre-order it now. Kobra Paige, thank you for joining me here inside the ASYLUM, and I will ask of you, and there are 3 singles that have floated out there, which of the 3 would be, let's say, your favorite that you would want everyone to hear?
Oh man, that's really tough. Because I love everything we made in there. I would say probably for people who haven't heard us before, maybe check out the 3 singles that we've released already, because they're pretty cool and they also incorporate that old stuff. So Gotham, Trigger Pulse, and of course the newest music video that we just launched for You Don't Know. And I know you only asked for 3, but just for the heck of it, let's say Hell on Earth. If you want some straight up heavy metal, that is up your alley.
Oh, does that mean I have an okay directly from you to play some new music that hasn't been released yet?
I don't think so. I think I'll be killed. Napalm's been really careful with those things, so I would just hold off if you don't mind.
Not a problem. Kobra, I will go into You Don't Know right now here inside the ASYLUM. Check it out. Go get the video. Stay tuned. More to come here inside the ASYLUM.